Hello, and welcome again to my talk for today. It's good to have you with me, and I hope that you're having a good day. I, in fact, have just come in from outside and can confirm that the day is hot and humid here in Fredericton, and it's an amazing day for those of us who like hot and humid. For others, it's not going to be quite so glorious. I wandered through the yard to look at the trees, the plants, the shrubs, and they've come on leaps and bounds over the last few days. The lilac bushes that I mentioned in a talk the other day have now come into the beginning of blooming and will soon look magnificent. The mystery shrub, which I tied up straight a few weeks ago, is now covered in yellow blooms and turns out to be a pea tree, something I'd never heard of. There are still things growing in the yard that we have little or no idea of what they are, but soon all will be revealed. This morning I was involved in a conversation concerning the future mission and ministry of the church, both here and elsewhere. During the discussion, I was reminded of several things, and one of them sticks out in my mind. About 30 years ago, when I was a young evangelist working in the Diocese of Chelmsford, I attended a national conference about reaching out into our local communities. One of the speakers was from Nigeria, and I believe his name was Ken Okeke. He worked for the Church Missionary Society, CMS, and had come to the UK as a missionary. At the time, he had been in the country for just over a year and was asked what had surprised him most. His reply was instructive. He said, "There's no background sense of spirits, holy or otherwise." He continued that in his ministry for CMS in Nigeria, if he went to a new area where no one had proclaimed the gospel before, people would be aware of the spiritual realm and therefore intrigued as to what this newcomer had to say. He said in the city where he was ministering in the UK, there was no sense of that. Ken's comment has stuck with me, and I've returned to it periodically. My experience is that God is always working ahead of us. As I speak to people, it often becomes clear that the fingerprints of God are in their lives, whether they recognize it or not. Rather like me and the pea tree, there's a mystery there, and sometimes my words or those of another have enabled people to see God's love. In Acts chapter 17, Paul ends up in Athens due to a series of unplanned circumstances. Eventually, he's invited to speak at a place called the Areopagus. That's where people explained and debated ideas, among other things. One of the things he said was that as he went around the city, he had seen an altar to an unknown God. He then went on to say, "That which you worship as unknown, I'm going to proclaim to you." I think two things may be happening during this time in our life together here in New Brunswick in Canada. Firstly, people are experiencing a greater awareness of God, possibly because there's time to think. Secondly, there are those who want to understand more of the mystery that they've become aware of. The challenge for us, as it was for Paul back in Athens, is how do we allow the conversation between God and people to continue while helping along the way. Thank you for being here again. A reminder that tonight at 6 o'clock there will be evening prayer as part of the communion-wide prayer movement of Thy Kingdom Come. So for now, God bless and stay safe.